Okay, so here's the first video about the writing test 2 of the IELTS test.
Okay, so today I'm going to be looking at 10 Task 2 scripts from the writing test and seeing how well they do when we have a look at the criteria in the writing bank descriptors, comparing them to see the task response. I know here it says achievement, but it should be task response. How coherent they are, how cohesive they are, what kind of lexical resources they use, and their grammatical range and accuracy. So let's have a look at the first prompt. Children are facing more pressures nowadays from academic, social, and commercial perspectives. What are the causes of these pressures, and what measures should be taken to reduce these pressures? So what we need to do is identify the causes and what measures should be taken to reduce these pressures. So how well we identify the causes and how well we identify measures we could take to reduce these, that is going to determine our task achievement. So let's see what our response says. Okay, so paragraph 1 is just a big introductory paragraph, long, possibly too long. If we look at the word count, I have this scripted word also. If we look at the word count, it's 376 words. Way too long. This is not a good example of this is not really a good example of a script to be used, since it's so far over the 250 word limit. So this introductory paragraph is way too long. So let's see if we can find the causes of these pressures. Nothing in the introductory paragraph. Here we have Global Village is more competitive every day. Okay, so here a cause is identified, but it's not clearly identified as a cause. We don't see the word cause, we just see the word as. The writer didn't use a phrase like as a result of the Global Village becoming more and more competitive. So it is addressing this part of the prompt, but not directly. But now here, the second one, this is identified more clearly because they use the phrase the other thing that is contributing to this ever-rising pressure. Okay, so here's the first one, here's the second one. First one, not well identified, this cause. Let's move on. What measures should be taken? This paragraph does not address that part of the prompt. Okay, here. The concept of pressures is replaced by this phrase, spiteful struggle amongst our youth, amongst our young. Okay, but we can still identify that this is a measure that the writer feels we should take. A sense of camaraderie should be developed. Okay, here we see also, so this is probably another measure. And here at the end we have a conclusion. Okay, so if we have a look at the task response from the band descriptors, out of 5, we have addresses the task only partially. I wouldn't say that's true. Addresses all parts of the task, although some parts may be more fully covered than others. This is set as 6. Addresses all parts of the task. Presents a clear position throughout the response. Well, was this position clear? There's a lot of irrelevant information in here. And the topic of this paragraph is not directly related to the prompt. Conclusion seems a little bit long. 7 might be too generous. 6 might be an appropriate score for this type of text. Now, coherence and cohesion. Let's have a look at this. Let's remove these red lines. So, in our introductory paragraph, we have some referencing going on. That's true. So that refers to what was said in the first sentence. It's happening. We have some substitution here using pronouns. Using they. Got while here. As this is some referencing there. It. Okay, so the other thing which connects this paragraph to the previous one. Here we have while again. Some more substitution here. Conjunction. Here we have this determiner. This refers to the sentence here. Conjunction. Pronouns. Here again. Here he uses such again, or the writer uses such again to refer to something mentioned before. Therefore. So, for coherence, yeah, the ideas are coherent. There does seem to be progression. Cohesive devices are usually effective. Cohesion within or between sentences may be faulty or mechanical. Well, that's not true for this text. May not always use referencing clearly or appropriately. Well, that's not true, because if we look at this, referencing is used quite effectively. All of these, not that one, but these. So 6 is probably too low. Let's go to 7. Logically organizes transmission ideas, clear progression, that's true. Uses a range of cohesive devices. There may be some under or overuse. Maybe overuse, not underuse. Presents a clear central topic in each paragraph. Well, this paragraph has to do with measures that we can take. They're not particularly well developed, but you can see there's a topic here. Each paragraph does have a topic. So, for coherence and cohesion, a pretty good score might be awarded to this piece of writing. Okay, now the next criteria is lexical resources. Let's look at the vocabulary that was used. Okay, here we have pressurized, that's pretty good. Perspectives, Excel's not bad. They must be shielded. Mounting and pressure. Okay, so these two words collocate very well together. Continue the balance between material and psychological growth. I'm not entirely sure what material growth means. Psychological growth is easy to understand, but material growth? Maybe they mean, I don't know, growth in wealth? Material probably means wealth? I'm not so sure about this word here. To prepare for the fight. Okay. This is realized by all its triggers. Ooh, trigger is good. Juveniles is good. Lack of institutional opportunities. That's a good phrase. Now more than ever, children are having to race each other. Race each other. This phrase, race each other, for reaching the privilege of higher education. Instead of using the phrase race each other, maybe the writer should have used compete. Children need to compete, and it's not for reaching, it's to reach the privilege of higher education. So some errors here, but they're not that serious, and we're still able to understand what the writer means. Psychosocial development of young ones. Okay. Prominent. The race becomes more prominent than the objective. The race becomes more prominent than the objective. I'm not entirely sure what the writer means by this. Maybe the writer is trying to say the race. We are more focused on the race rather than the outcome. So we are giving more prominence to the journey rather than the outcome. Okay. The child is compelled to compete for becoming better than the other. The child is compelled to compete to become better than others. There's some errors here. And the meaning is still clear. In other words, the competition becomes a brawl rather than being a sprint. Competition becomes a brawl. Okay? Kind of a colorful analogy. Spiteful struggle. is clear, but the author trying to describe the struggle here uses the word spiteful. Spiteful has a lot to do with intent. Being spiteful, you intentionally try to disadvantage others. And I'm not sure what that has to do with prompt, but okay. A sense of camaraderie, that's great. Social supremacy. Okay, supremacy, that's a good word to be using. We have proactively, vile aggressiveness. The writer uses some very interesting adjectives. Vengefulness, that's a good word. Ample alternatives. Ample is a good word to use. They're trying to do their best. Untimely loss. Oh, that's good. Untimely and loss go all together. Antagonistic. You see that before? Something about antagonism. No. Therefore, we must ensure that personal development may be ushered in harmony. Personal development may be ushered in harmony. Okay, the meaning here to me is not very clear. Vile is repeated. Rivalry is repeated. So, as far as vocabulary goes, I'd say yeah, there's some awareness of style and collocation, although there are occasional errors in word choice. It's a wide range of vocabulary. Okay, let's move on to the fourth criteria, grammatical range and accuracy. Let's get rid of these. It is commonly said. Okay, so we have some passive voice here. Okay, with present tense, present continuous. Okay, so here we have this compound sentence. It's important that children excel in their age to become successful adults. They must be shielded from economic pressures. Okay. That's good. We see a variety of structures. So prepare for the flights of the spirit. This is realized by all. Okay, so here with the passive again. Children are having you see here the writer uses while again, the same as we saw here, to create this compound sentence. Child is compound. Okay, so it's a fairly wide range of structures. Students must contest for impediment. Not a present tense here, because this is where he or she is giving us the proposed solutions, so you would expect to find the present tense being used there. See the passive being used again. Okay, so as far as grammar goes, a variety of complex structures are used. There are a lot of error-free sentences. Let's see if we can get an 8. The majority of sentences are error-free, makes only very occasional errors or inappropriacies. While the problem here is with the very occasional. Maybe very occasional is not appropriate for this, more than very occasional. So this might be a pretty good score, or a pretty fair score for grammatical range and accuracy. But the biggest problem, as I said before, is that the word count stands at 376. Makes this a terrible example, because obviously this was not written under exam conditions. This is somebody who just sat down and decided to write an example. Okay, here's our second example, this text. Let's look at the prompt. The mass media, including television, radio, and newspapers, have a great influence in shaping people's ideas. To what extent do you agree or disagree with the statement? Give reasons for your answer. Okay, so we have this introduction, influence in shaping people's ideas. From the prompt, influence in shaping our lives. Okay, this is directly tied to what's in the prompt. The undeniable usefulness of the media. So the media is useful, but so it seems the rest of the paragraph has to do with the negative aspects of the media. But the prompt says, to what extent do you agree or disagree with the statement? Whereas the writer here in paragraph 2 is only telling us to what extent the media influences our lives. So indirectly we can see, yeah, they do agree with the statement, but it's not explicitly stated that I completely agree with the statement, or I agree to some extent, or something along those lines. Only here at the end we see an opinion. The media are also influential in the way. Okay, so this is another influence. Now, I don't know why the opinion only comes out in the last paragraph. Where it comes out, it's explicitly stated. We kind of have to read very carefully to find an opinion. Thus, I would argue that the mass media's influence is certainly great. This should come way ahead of these two paragraphs here. These two. It should come in the beginning, so the reader can clearly see what the writer's position is on the issue. So, the position is taken. Development is not always clear. There are many conclusions drawn. Well, there is a conclusion drawn, but is it in the right place? This is the task response. see, band 6 score. Addresses all parts of the task. Well, the task really just wants you to do one thing. To what extent you agree or disagree, give reasons for your answers. That is done, but okay. Presents a clear position throughout the response. See, it can't get a 7 because the position is not clear throughout the response. Here in paragraph 2 and 3, we have to read carefully to discern the position. So it can't get a 7. Okay. Let's move on to coherence and cohesion. Okay, so here we let them. This is more of a lexical issue, but the mass media. This is like a media here is used like a collective noun, so it should be singular. But here we have and them. This is more of a lexical issue, but it is a problem with. I just noticed now. Okay, anyway. Unnoticedness. In our dependence on the media, we have allowed them to mold our notions. Okay, well, it's illustrated. He uses but a lot to indicate contrast. Though okay, so the message comes through. But the problem is that there's not enough signposting. Like in the beginning of this paragraph, or the argument rather, the writer doesn't clearly state that the media is useful in 2 ways. Because we have this concept here of instantly providing information, and that it facilitates the spread of culture and lifestyle. But there's no clear signposting that the writer is going to give us 2 examples of how the media is useful. Instead of saying something like, the media is useful in 2 different ways. Firstly, they instantly provide information. So we have a pro and a pro, but the rest of this paragraph is about negatives. So I feel the writer should have put the negative in its own paragraph and put the positives in their own paragraph. Thus, I'd argue. So great. Okay, so here's the writer's position. let's look at this. Let's see. Paragraphing may be inadequate. Well, I feel it's true for this paragraph here. The topics are not in their own paragraph. Let's go on to look at something 6. Use paragraphing, but not always logically. But that might be what you're looking at here. I don't think we can say that this paragraph is a central topic. The central idea is split over 2 paragraphs here. Okay, let's go on to look at vocabulary. Children are lives. Okay, this is just copied from here. Put aspects. This mold, this is quite good. Our conceptions. Conception is quite good. Let's have an opinion on them. This them bothers me still. Oh no, it's not this them, it's the other ones. Here. The it. This is a singular noun. Swayed is good. Reporters, editors, commentators. Alright, so we've got this nice lexical chain going here. These job titles are all related to the media. That's quite good. Oh, and bias also. Major media. The so-called global youth culture. This is not something I've heard before. Clothing styles. Here we see sway again. Reach is quite good, used as a noun here. Okay, so as far as lexical resources goes, we can't say that there are errors in word formation. We can't say that there are too many inaccuracies. This is an adequate range for vocabulary. Well, that's certainly true. Let's see if I can get a 7. Uses some less common lexical items with some awareness of style and collocation. Well, I don't think that's true. So remember, to get a 7, you need to meet all these requirements. I just don't think that's true here. An adequate range of vocabulary. Yeah, I'd say this is pretty adequate. Not too many errors. Definitely not a 5. Let's move on to look at the grammar. We have come. Okay, so we've got some present perfect. With this in doing so, that's great. It's largely taken for granted. Okay, so some passive structures. Present perfect. Present perfect again. Major media. It's determined for us. Okay. Very few errors. Okay, so we have some relative pronouns here. So well known, or if not for. Oh, that's good. Indeed, with technological advancements such as the internet, bringing even more forms, it is likely that many sequentially grow. Okay, so as far as grammar goes, very few mistakes. Produces frequent error-free sentences. Well, of course, the reason for this is that someone actually sat down and wrote this. Okay, so biggest problem was basically just with task response. Task response, the weakest of all of these criteria. And if we look at the word count, let's see, too long, 332 words. So it's not really a realistic example. Again, this is just someone who sat down and wrote this.